Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices and we have allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. If this is something that you can see yourself supporting, we ask that you like, comment, and share this live feed. Now, as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the voter, to know the truth. Remember, we will not be silenced. If you're really about the cause and you want to stand up to corruption and hold our elected leaders accountable, well, make sure you subscribe to our social media platforms. You can subscribe to our Facebook page, Frankie Olivo. You can subscribe to our YouTube page titled Frankie Olivo TV. And you can also, now we are starting to stream on X under Frankie Olivo. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously. So make sure you subscribe to our social media platforms, especially subscribe to our YouTube page. We could be titled under Frankie Olivo TV. Currently, right now on YouTube, we are 2 subscribers away from reaching the 700 mark. The goal for us is to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So we got 6 months to get 300 subscribers. That's about 50 a month. So I'm trying my best to meet that mark. And I can only do this with your help. Remember, Brownsville, I will never ever ask you for money. I will never ever ask you for food. Well, depends what you're making. All I ask, ladies and gentlemen, is to subscribe to our social media platforms. In particular, make sure you go and subscribe to our YouTube page. And if I could just show you very quickly, you have to create an account. You have to create an account in order for you to subscribe. But once you do subscribe, I want you to go to Frankie Olivo TV. Are we on the screen? Yes, we're on the screen. Okay, once you go to YouTube, make sure you go to Frankie Olivo TV. You scroll down, you click here. Oh, hey, we got $6.99. We got one more. We're one more away from our mark, ladies and gentlemen. We're at 699 subscribers. Thank you so much. And again, I don't ask for much, Brownsville. All I ask is for a simple subscribe. I can't do it because I'm already subscribed, but there's a button here that you click on. You click on subscribe. We have, since COVID, we have close to 50,000 views. So I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this copy. I'm going to share this on here. This will show on both, on YouTube, actually. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't ask for much. All I ask for is a simple subscription. That will help me and our platform down the road. Thank you so much, Brownsville, for your help. Okay, I'm getting stuff here. What did I get? Is it important? I always get crazy stuff. Okay. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about a very, very interesting topic. Everybody says, Frankie, you say everything's interesting. Well, there's never a dull day in the city of Brownsville. There's never a dull day in Cameron County politics. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about baby Logan once again. And before I start, many individuals, we did report on the death of this 4-year-old at the preschool. Many individuals did criticize us and say, oh, why are you talking about that? The family doesn't need more exposure. They need money. Well, at the end of the day, this is news, ladies and gentlemen. It is our hope and our quest that things such as these tragic events are avoided down the road. And unfortunately, this is going to be the blueprint for preschools, for daycares moving forward. They're always going to go back to this incident and learn from it, unfortunately. Our goal is to shed light on what is happening. That is what Good Morning Brownsville is all about. While I understand people who have been critical of us covering this sensitive topic. At the end of the day, it is news, and we hope that this is the first and the last time. Well, it's not the first, but we hope it's the last time that these incidents happen. There was neglect at the part of many individuals, not just the individuals that were arrested. And that is what we will be talking about today. Should more people be charged with the death of 4-year-old baby Logan at the preschool when he was left in that van for 4 or 5 hours? If I can give context very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, we might have individuals who aren't familiar with it. And again, we are streaming now officially on Twitter, on X. In a few weeks, we will come back to Facebook, but I'm trying to get the masses to YouTube and to X for a little bit. So be patient with me, ladies and gentlemen. Again, there's science to my madness. All I ask for is your patience. Thank you so much. Baby Logan, ladies and gentlemen. Baby Logan was a 4-year-old who unfortunately passed away in late June. What is interesting to learn from this case, ladies and gentlemen, is that the defense attorney yesterday appeared in court and asked for the judge to dismiss this case. And again, this is a very, very publicized case. You're talking about eyeballs from everywhere. People are watching this from all over Texas because this is unheard of for a child to die, for a preschool to be neglectful. On the screen, ladies and gentlemen, we have two individuals, Karen Silva on the left, bottom left, and Sandy Ruiz on the right. Both ladies, they were arrested and charged with injury to a child causing death in connection with the death of Logan Urbina, a student at the Learning Club Preschool where they both worked. And this happened on June 27th after the baby had been left in a van for nearly 5 hours following a field trip. We talked about this case shortly after it happened, and many people were left wondering why did one of the ladies receive such a low bond, a $10,000 bond. Silva on the left received a $10,000 bond, while Ruiz on the right, on the bottom right, received a $60,000 bond. What's the reason for it? Well, we were informed that Silva on the left, she does have an ICE detainer. And I don't want to say usually, but that's kind of the norm. Individuals, whenever they do break the law and the prosecutors make them aware that there is an ICE detainer, usually for the most part, they do set a low bond. And this woman, her family, did pay the amount, whatever it was, $1,000, 10%, or they possibly gave us some collateral, I'm not sure. But they did post a bond. But since she has an ICE detainer, she wasn't released. That is why she is still in custody. And this happened a few weeks ago. And she was still at Brownsville jail in downtown Brownsville. She was ultimately transferred on July 8th to Carrizales. That is where we were informed of where she was taking another mugshot. She was before the judge on a writ of habeas corpus in regards to her case. But again, this case, ladies and gentlemen, has been very, very interesting. She did appear yesterday. Ms. Silva on the bottom left, she did appear in court yesterday where her defense team requested that the case be dismissed. And they argued that there wasn't enough evidence to charge Ms. Silva on the death of baby Logan. The judge did deny that request. Now, the criminal complaint states that Logan was in a van with 15, 14, 15 other children. On that day, that preschool organized a field trip to the safari in Los Fresnos, Texas. And again, if you haven't gone already, it's a nice getaway. It's something different than the zoo. What is interesting from this case, ladies and gentlemen, is that this child was forgotten for 5 hours. And Silva and Ruiz, the women in question, they were charged with this crime of neglect because they were the driver and the co-pilot of that van. The van did take off at 8:30 in the morning on June 27th. The field trip concluded at 11 a.m. And the children did arrive. The children did arrive to the school shortly before lunchtime. So as we can imagine, the children were excited, hungry, tired. And after, ladies and gentlemen, after the field trip, they ate. Now, many people have questioned, what's the reason? Why didn't they do a head count? The obvious thing would be to go aisle by aisle and check the rows to see what, if anything was left behind. Was there trash? Was there, I don't know, toys, objects, clothes left behind by the children? Whatever the reasons that these women did not check the van, once the child was located, they took him out of the van. They performed CPR on him. First responders got to the daycare, and they said that the child was pronounced dead. Yesterday, during the hearing, it was interesting to learn the players involved in this case. And again, this is a very high-profile case, ladies and gentlemen. All eyeballs are on this, are watching this. Now, during testimony, ladies and gentlemen, a daycare employee testified yesterday, Monday, that Silva was a driver and Ruiz was the co-pilot. The employee also stated that the daycare, that it does train employees on field trips. According to testimony yesterday, that these employees, which includes those drivers, they are required to check the seats once they arrive to make sure that all the children are no longer in that vehicle. The employee stated that the co-pilots, the driver and the co-pilot, are the ones responsible for getting all the kids off the van and doing a head count. This employee that testified, she said that she was the one that noticed Logan was missing because Logan attended the daycare, the preschool, with a baby brother. The employee stated that the brothers were attached at the hip. They were always together. So something was off when they just noticed that the baby was by himself and Logan was nowhere present. Silva's defense team is a powerhouse. If we look on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, on our left, where we see the defendant in maroon, we have on her left, we have Elia Cornejo Lopez, a former state district judge. On her right, we have attorney Noe Garza. To the right of Mr. Garza, not on the podium, but to the right of Mr. Garza, is the prosecutor for Cameron County, Arturo Teniente. Arturo Teniente is from Harlingen, a very, very intelligent man. I believe he received valedictorian for his graduating class, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very smart, very, very bright. He has been a prosecutor for 10 plus years. Very knowledgeable, very good. At the podium, ladies and gentlemen, and again, these are big shots that we have in front of us. On the podium, we have Nat Perez. Now, people always ask me, "Hey Frank, who do you recommend?" Who do you recommend? I got into some trouble. What lawyer should I hire? And these are three attorneys that I would recommend: Elia Lopez, Noe Garza, and Nat Perez. There's others: Rick Canales, Stapleton, the Gameses. It depends exactly, what you're being charged with, and what court your case lands in. Is it probate court? Is it a divorce case? But if it's a criminal case, these are three big shots, high profile attorneys with vast experience and knowledge, and are very, very good at what they do. So we've identified Silva's attorneys, former state district judge Elia Cortejo Lopez and Noe Garza. Who is Nat Perez representing, you might ask? On the far right here, is his son and colleague and partner, who is also an attorney, Noah Perez. Who is Noah sitting next to? That is the owner of the preschool. Now, she was present. The defense team, they did subpoena for the owner of the business to appear. They wanted her to testify, for her to talk about, what happened on that day. What are the procedures for your business? Is this the first time your business has a field trip? What were you doing, owner, on that day in question? Did you receive the kids? Were you there when they left? Were you present when they came back? We would think that that there is training involved. Because whenever we fly, and we're all familiar with this, whenever we fly on whatever airline, we have a what are they called? A stewardess. They're greeting us when we walk into the plane, and they're saying their goodbyes and have a great trip as we leave. And what do they do after everyone starts clearing the plane? They go aisle by aisle. They check underneath the seats for trash, for any possessions that were left. If the airline companies have proper procedures and protocols, we would think that individuals that are entrusted with the lives of children, that this is engraved in their minds, engraved in their heads, that, okay, this is what I have to do. I have to do a head count every 15, 20 minutes. I have to check every aisle. I have to check on top. I have to check on the bottom of the seats. Because kids, if adults fall asleep on the plane, if adults fall asleep in vans on trips, what do we expect of children? Now, according to the defense team, the defense did ask for the owner to be present. She was subpoenaed, the owner of the Learning Club Preschool. But Nat Pettis, her attorney, on the podium, did argue that her testimony, he argued before the judge that her testimony could be used against her. So the judge denied the defense team's subpoena request to have the owner testify. They wanted to ask her questions about what happened on that tragic day. But the question remains, ladies and gentlemen, should more people be charged in this case? That is the argument that the defense team is making. They are saying that it wasn't just these two ladies that should be charged. Now, you might ask, why are they asking for a dismissal so quick? She was just arrested 3 weeks ago. Because that is the job of the attorneys, is to look for any quick outcome for their clients. And the defense attorneys, ladies and gentlemen, they have the privilege of getting all the information from the state. So they have information that we're not privy to, that the news medias aren't allowed to see at this time. What is interesting to learn from this case also, ladies and gentlemen, is there's two things that come into mind. One, should the owner bear responsibility? Now, why is only the employees being charged? We talked previously, whenever we covered this story on the day of the funeral of baby Logan, of what happens once a child passes away at a daycare, at a preschool. Well, there is an investigation that's done by the Texas Human and Child Services, if I'm not mistaken. Many people are shocked that this preschool is still in operation. We would think that, and I have trouble saying this, and I don't mean to offend nobody, but we would think that any logical parent, once they got word of their baby, of a baby being neglected and passed away at the hands of these individuals, in the hands of this school, would no longer take their babies to that facility. We could also argue that, hey, maybe that's the sign of confidence that they have in this woman, in this owner. Maybe they know her, and you know what? She's all about the kids. She would never let this happen. And we're not saying that these people are mean, that they purposely did that. No, in no right mind would we make that accusation. These women that were arrested, they are parents. They do have children. And we would hope that whenever we drop off our loved ones, our babies, at these type of facilities, that they would treat them just as if they were their very own. That's not reality, but we would like to think so. Should more people be charged with the death of 4-year-old baby Logan? That is an argument the defense team is making. That they were not the only ones. Just because they drove the van, They were not the only ones that were entrusted with all these children. Again, in total, it was 24, 25 kids. So they broke up the kids in two vans, 15 and the rest on the other one. So according to Ms. Silva's defense attorneys, there should be more people that are charged in this case of neglect. People have asked, why wasn't the owner arrested? What responsibility does the owner have? Was she present when the children got back? Can we make the argument, chat, that if she was present, she is responsible because at the end of the day, the buck stops with her? Or is this like an owner that has a manager, and the responsibilities and duties of running the day-to-day operations fall solely on that manager? That is a way for owners to, I'm trying to think of the word in English, but para no embarrarse. When you think about owners and general managers, or owners and managers, the managers are entrusted to run the show. They have the responsibility of hiring and firing, of setting schedules, of running the preschool. And if something happens, the owner calls the manager into question and say, hey, what's up with this problem? Why isn't this problem fixed? You're fired. Why isn't the owner arrested? Because according to the defense attorney, more people should be charged. Was there more people at that field trip? It seems that way. Did the owner receive the children when they got back? That still hasn't been clarified. Thank you. Yes, embarrarlo. And that's the way it usually works. In corporate America, there's an owner and there's a manager. The manager is the ones that runs everything, because at the end of the day, the manager responds to the owner and says, look, these are the logistics, these are the numbers coming in, we're doing good this month, our workers are doing fantastic, or you know what, I have to focus on this employee because the owners usually say, you know what, you deal with it, I'm paying you big bucks, so you have the headache, not me. Thank you, Martinez. Maybe there's, it depends on the type of owner, because you have some owners that are very hands-on and they want to deal with the day-to-day operations. So that is a very big question that we need to ask, because according to the defense team, more people should be charged with the crime, not just those women that drove the children to and from the daycare, according to the defense team. And the second thing that comes to mind, ladies and gentlemen, is Silva has an ICE detainer. She has no legal status in this country. What's going to happen to the owner in regards to that? We saw how in February, and here we have we saw in February how ICE started rounding up people, and that's been a hot topic. And we will be bringing on, ladies and gentlemen, we will be bringing on an attorney, one of our friends from for many years from high school. I want to bring him on because of everything that is happening with ICE and all the uncertainty that we've been seeing here in our local area. How ICE has been rounding up people left and right. And the case, ladies and gentlemen, the case, well, we first started seeing the case of Abby's Bakery. Abby's Bakery is in Los Fresnos. And if you can recall, this was the first time after President Trump's administration was in power. This is the first time that we saw how they went hard after undocumented individuals. And from this case, we saw how the owners were charged with, what is the charge? Just to be clear, let's see. I know they were harboring. I believe the individuals were staying in the back of the bakery. The owners of Los Fresnos Bakery are accused of harboring and concealing non-citizens. Homeland Security did receive an anonymous call, which led to the investigations and arrest of the owners. During the investigation, Homeland Security investigators, special agents discovered that 8 individuals who were allegedly in the country illegally and living in a room next door to the bakery labeled Unit 5. So in February, ladies and gentlemen, we started seeing ICE target go into businesses. And now what have we seen? It's crazy. And we've been seeing this all throughout the country. What's important for us is here locally in Brownsville. What have we seen? They're hitting up construction spots. On 802, there is some apartments that they were, I would say, maybe halfway done, 3/4 of the way done. And then ICE hit them hard. And I travel on that street nearly every day. And ever since ICE rounded up those construction workers, the undocumented workers, there's been no work on that property. And you have seen the videos on social media, how restaurants have to close because they have no workers. They can't pay people. And that's what I'm referring to, Ventuno. I'm glad you brought this up. Taco Ole in Mission, Texas, Hidalgo County. The manager was arrested, not the owner. That is the correlation that I was trying to make. Thank you for bringing it up. In this case, ladies and gentlemen, of Taco Ole, only the manager was arrested. Was it a case, how we stated previously, Ventuno, how the owner says, here are the keys, you're running the show. But remember, if something happens, it's on you. The owners possibly are just provide the capital. Hey, I have to worry about other businesses. And does that happen? Yes. People that are entrepreneurs that have several businesses, they can't be possibly at every business at once. They have people in charge that they respond, that they call on. Hey, how are we doing? What do we need help? Give me the numbers. That happens. It's reality. At Taco Ole, they just arrested ICE, Homeland Security just arrested the manager for hiring undocumented workers. They did not arrest the owner. Will the investigations come back to where the owner was aware? It's too early to tell. But what's going to happen to the owner of this daycare? Now, this might be not a good example, but I did find something that the government, and this is the government's website, where they state that they do fine companies for hiring illegal aliens. Now, this is a big construction company that did agree to pay $3 million for its role in hiring or employing illegal aliens. So what's going to happen to all these business owners that have been popped? These construction owners on 802, are they going to be charged with a crime? Are they going to be fined for hiring illegal aliens? Why are we bringing this up? Well, because the woman that was charged with neglect of 4-year-old baby Logan is currently in custody on an ICE detainer. How did she get hired? We anticipate that not only is the federal government going to assess a fine, going to sue these people, we anticipate that the family of the child is also going to sue the preschool. Why? Because of neglect, and also we anticipate them for hiring an illegal alien. It's hard to understand, at least for me. And look, I understand that looking for. I have a comment here that states all teachers who went on the field trip should be charged, as well as the director or person in charge at the time. The daycare should be shut down pending investigation. Crystal Ledesma. Anayeli del Angel says the first thing that should have been done was close down the premises. Gladys Ortiz, Lizzie Ortiz says, I totally agree. This is on our social media posts. Rafa Ledesma says, no doubt there were more people responsible. If only 2 employees were responsible for the number of children on a field trip, then the owner should be responsible for understaffing them as well. That's a good point that Rafa makes. Might be in the minority, though, saying they aren't the only ones responsible for that little boy's death. That's interesting. Can they be charged with a crime? Leti Castro says, they just want to toss the ball around and not be held accountable. What a sad story, to be honest. They should have logs and checked out the van and video of them leaving. Hernandez says, oh, she ain't going down by herself. Barbosa says, unfortunately, yes, the person in charge of the daycare, aka director, should make sure all children are accounted for at all times. It is a very demanding job and need a head count at all times. Owners get away with it by saying that the staff was trained. Are they really trained? That's the real question. So there are many things. Comb your hair, put some gel, gonna watch your show. Gee, I love you too. It's summer. It's summer. I'm still on vacation mode. Please forgive me. But at the end of the day, como dice el building de Games, justice for all. If you can afford it, sad but true. Sad but true. What's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, in this case? We have high-profile attorneys that are working around the clock to make sure that their clients get off this. According to the defense team, they did request for this case to be dismissed against their client. The judge denied it. The defense, they did issue a subpoena for the owner to testify. The judge did deny that request. But also, Santana, where are the I-9 forms? The I-9 forms is the employment eligibility verification to verify the identity and employment authorization of individuals hired for employment here in the United States. Did they falsify records? Did they ask for a social security number, a social security card, proof of status? Was this a hire of, hey, you know, hire comadre? She's good. She'll be great. She needs a job. These are all very important questions that should be answered very soon. Hope says, question, would the bus driver or teacher of record or principal or school district or all be arrested? Daycares follow same order of responsibility. And that is what we're trying to ask ourselves. That is the reason why we are asking. And if we go, and I'm going to go very quickly, I'm going to ask for your patience. I'm going to post the interview of the grandmother, Logan's grandmother, on the day of, and I'm not going to play it because it is a long, it's 8 minutes long, this interview. I have placed it here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the interview. Let me place it on the social media pages very quickly, just so everybody could understand what I'm talking about. In this interview, ladies and gentlemen, that was done on the day of, shortly after the death of her grandson, the grandmother did state that the owner has a lot of pull, that the owner wasn't going to see justice here on earth. And the reason behind it was that she was an influential person, that she had money. Is that the reason why? I don't know. But she states many things. She states one, and we did report that Silva, the one that is in question, the one that has an ICE detainer, she did make allegations against her husband or former husband in Matamoros of abuse. And she went to the district attorney's office, and she did claim that her children, her little girls, were being touched by their own father. It turns out that the district attorney's office in Matamoros did not charge the father. Now, many people have asked and questioned and said, oh, well, you know, you could get away with anything in Matamoros. But the grandmother of this interview that I have here before you, she states that the owner wasn't going to get charged because of money. She states that she rubs elbows with important people. And the grandmother, in her despair, and again, I have it here for you, and I put it on the social media platforms. In her despair, she was saying the owner should be charged, but if she does not see justice here on earth, She will see it from God. Look what happened to the famous Delia's Tamales for hiring illegals. That's a great point, Hernandez, because the last I heard was that there was a class action lawsuit by multiple employees of Delia's where they were alleging that they were not being treated fairly, not being adequately compensated for their jobs. I don't think I need to research that, and thank you for bringing that up because that's kind of similar. Hiring legals. Dime con quién andas y te diré con quién eres. Does she go to church with Elizondo and Peña? Possibly. Did the child even get down for the outing, or was he left in the van the whole day? No, he was. There is proof that the child was at the field trip. Here he is in the green shirt, and I believe that's him in the green cap. Look, let's see. Yes, you see him in the green cap right here, the right corner. Let's go to the picture with everyone, with all the kids. Look, he's turning around. That's him. So yes, Gamboa, there is proof that the child was left after the van got back to the preschool premises. They got back at 11:30, 12. They didn't realize he was missing until 5-6 hours after the fact. So I pose to you the question, Brownsville, Cameron County, the state of Texas. Should more people be charged with the death of 4-year-old baby Logan? Should the owner be charged as well? Is it her responsibility for the safety and well-being of the children? Or is this a case of, hey, I hire people, I have a manager, they are responsible for everything that happens. I'm just the owner. I wasn't present that day. We don't know. We don't know. And also, what's going to happen to the owner for hiring somebody that does not have legal status in this country? Is she going to lose her credentials? Vega says the daycare owner should have paid for everything for the funeral expense, and they should have closed the daycare down. I haven't seen the owner say anything on the news. Thank God I never sent my daughter to daycare. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, not everyone has the benefit. Not everyone has the benefit of having to send their children to preschool, to daycares. As we all know, life is expensive. Inflation is through the roof. The cost of living is unbearable. Before, when I was growing up, I had the luxury of having aunts, having grandparents that would pick me up whenever I needed to. There was always somebody around to take care of me. If Franquito was sick, I'm sick, I can't go to school. There was always somebody to watch over me. But now, life is expensive. And now mom and dad, they have to work, unfortunately. The household needs more than one income. I would say 8, 9 times out of 10. That is our reality. What do you say about this, Brownsville? Should the owner be charged with this crime? What's going to happen? Is Homeland Security going to issue a fine? Is the U.S. government going to issue a fine for having an illegal alien, an undocumented worker? And it's just bad. You hire somebody that does not have status in this country, and then that person is being charged with neglect of a child that died. That's a major lawsuit. Major lawsuit that's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our social media platforms. We could be found on X, Twitter, under Frankie Olivo. We could be found on Facebook under Frankie Olivo. And make sure you subscribe to our social media platform. The important one is YouTube. We could be found under Frankie Olivo TV. As of right now, I need one more subscriber to get to 700. I don't ask for much, Brownsville. All I ask for is a simple subscription. The problem is that everyone wants what they can't afford: phones, houses, wanting to keep up with the Jones. We've been so busy keeping up with the Jones. 4-car garage and we still building on. Maybe it's time we got back to the basics of love. Let's go to Looking-Back, Texas. Waylon and Willie and the boys. This successful life we're living's got us feuding like the Hatfields and McCoys. That's a good point that you make. We do want to live a certain life for Facebook. Facebook is it's all lies. It's not reality. I think what's important is for us to have the essentials of life. All I ask for is to be in good. All I ask my God for is to be in good health and have a roof over my head. Everything else after that is luxury. So I agree on this. It is. We do live in a world, in a society where it's all about what you have, what you're wearing, what you drive, because we want to be accepted by people. Oh, look, he has a Tesla. Oh, look, he's got a Porsche. It's all about status in this life. An eye for an eye. County-wise, they will walk with the legal representation. Mark my words. Pero como dice grandma, la justicia de Dios. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and your attention. My name is Frankie Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Peace.